fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
What happens when you finally make it, only to realize that your body, your brain, and your belief system are still stuck in survival mode?
The amount of anxiety that I found out I was carrying in my entire body, apparently my whole life up until, somewhat recently, really mind-blowing.
From juggling 5 low-wage jobs and sleeping in a car before nanny shifts to building a sustainable and creatively fulfilling career on her own terms. Writer, performer, and YouTuber Maggie Mae Fish opens up about the physical and mental toll of making art to survive and what it takes to stop treating yourself like a machine.
But I would even say letting go of the idea that one idea is better than the other. I think that is honestly too much pressure to put on yourself.
The creative economy is broken, but some people are still making it work. We're here to find out how. I'm Anna Marie Cox.
And I'm Open Mike Eagle. And this is Past Due.
Hi, Maggie Mae.
Hello. How are you doing?
I am good and adjusted for all the terms that aren't good, right? Like, I'm feeling okay despite it all. Mike, you want to check in? How are you doing?
I don't know. I'll answer I'll be background processing that, and in the middle of the show, I'll just, I'm all right.
Yeah. I've realized I'm okay.
Yeah.
Given circumstances as well.
I hate that. I think especially the pandemic created "How are you doing?" to be like a real question.
It's a grenade.
Yes.
It's a
People
grenade.
people stopped answering just like I'm fine. And we're like, wait, okay.
I haven't called my mother in a month.
Well, welcome to the show. One of the reasons we do it is we feel like talking about finances is like an unexplored territory, and demystifying and destigmatizing like the struggles we have next frontier, personally for me, and then also I think culturally, especially as among us creative types.
Absolutely. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. And, when you're young and you tell your mom, oh, I don't know, I want to like paint or whatever. The very first question is, okay, well, how are you gonna pay for that? What does that mean? Yeah. Because it's also mystified to, people who are outside of the business and within it. Yeah.
And then we get into it and it's like 1,000 different income streams, but also there's a little bit of like, well, now I've been doing this for a while. Or for me, like I've been doing it for a long while, and doing something else doesn't really make sense, but I'm not even today not sure how I do it.
What I sometimes imagine like the resume that I would now have to give to someone. I don't know how to explain myself.
I was trying to give mine to potential employers late last year, and it's ridiculous. It's just a bunch of chaos on a page. And who wants to hire a bunch of chaos?
And I feel like I have marketable skills, I really do. But I don't know how to market them outside this very narrow range in an industry that's falling apart. So speaking of that, a baseline we like to start with: when is the last time you worried about covering your expenses for the month?
That is a beautiful question. I would say I've been, this is very apt, timely. Although now I'm over it, I would say the first like 2 years of therapy was about that adjustment
Wow.
period, about finally being uh, financially somewhat stable. So it's been about 3 years. Yeah. And it took a long time for my brain to catch up or even really understand what that means to not the amount of anxiety that I found out I was carrying in my entire body. Apparently my whole life up until somewhat recently, really mind-blowing. So yeah, it has been a while, and now I feel adjusted to it. But yeah, when I first went back to therapy, that was the number one thing I was struggling with, was like this fight or flight that I was only now able to recognize for what it was, because it feels so like that's just the way it is. That's just the way art is.
Hmm.
I have to be hyper focused and hyper aware of, basically exploiting my bandwidth, exploiting like literally my body. I have back issues now
Mm.
to tie, because of like how ingrained it was in me. And also this is all to say that that also coincided in a wonderful way. Part of why I was able to feel financially okay is that I did get married. So,
Mm.
there was a lot of financial benefits to to being married, which is wild. Both of us, I think in a vacuum, are not necessarily like, we don't need the pomp and circumstance by any means. It was great to have a party with like all of our friends and family. Yeah, partnering up with someone. We do work together. So, we were sharing work finances. Once we actually, officially got together, we were finally like, oh my God.
You're a writer, actor, content
Mhm.
creator. Certainly from the outside looking in, the most lucrative part of your world would be YouTube. Is that the case?
Yeah, so we have Patreon that has apps. I mean, it's allowed me both to create videos, but then yeah, also my work online helps me try to get work offline, which is mostly unpaid, as I think we all know. Going to auditions, not
Mhm.
paid. The parking is. Make sure you write that off on your taxes. Um, but yeah, so much of the initial steps in the creative world are unpaid. I now have a writing manager, a lit manager, which is wonderful. But to get the lit manager, I needed to write a feature, and it takes a long time, and all that work unpaid. So yeah, from the very outset, I wanted online work to help fund. Yeah, hopefully, again, like almost like using the analogy of like fishing. My dad's, fishes. Is my last name? Okay, my last name is Fish too, also. But you're putting out all these lures. Like, okay, wonderful. I made a video. Patreon supports that. I'm also on Nebula, which also very much contributed to being stable in my finances. It's at least for us. I won't speak for other people, but it has been so helpful to have a place that is not as unstable as YouTube to post a video. They also pay for ad reads because it's creator owned. We get a share of the revenue. So once we added that revenue stream, it became again a lot easier to navigate. Yeah. So once I started making videos regularly, when I first started making videos, sorry if this is a tangent, I had about like, I want to say 5 other jobs I was juggling, which is again going back to back issues. It was, very hard to juggle 5 different revenue streams, all of them, minimum wage. One of them was Instacart, which I worked there, for about a month right before they started taking away people's tips. And I noticed a huge downgrade in how much money I was making there. So I mean, it was so much to juggle. And very slowly, as YouTube started picking up steam, I was able to drop one of those jobs, and then I was able to drop another, and then another. So very like baby stepped to, now I can do YouTube. And once that started, being stable, I was able to, again, fishing analogy, put out lures of like, okay, I also don't trust that YouTube is forever.
Right.
So then, while you're doing YouTube full time, you put out fishing lures. Like, okay, I'm going to write this feature that, yes, no one is paying me, but I do love to write. So part of it is that love of the thing that you use to justify, like, okay, right now, this is not making me anything, but hopefully, it'll catch a fish one day.
This is just, I am curious because, like, so I'm 52.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about going back to work, like, or trying to get like work, like we talked to Liz Lenz, and she was saying, like, when she thinks about her options, if her newsletter, stops being able to support her and whatnot, she was talking about maybe going back, picking up shifts at a coffee shop. Right. I don't know if my body would take like doing a lot of different service jobs at this point. Like my knees hurt just normally. My knees hurt after Pilates class. Right. So I'm curious, like, what was your body, like, how did your body held up for a while, like doing all that, but maybe not as good as you thought. So were you like in that indestructible age of like mid-20s?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. It was mid-20s. It was right after college. I stayed, I was actually employed at my college. I worked for the Alumni Center, and I had a wonderful boss who was like, just stay on, get as much income as possible. He like, gave me extra hours and stuff just to kind of like stock up as much as I could. This was in Chicago before moving out to LA. So when I got to LA, I was around 24, 25. And at the time I worked myself to the bone, often doing multiple jobs at once. I had like a marketing or, an Instagram job for like an aerial warehouse gym that I would post. Yeah, I was very impressed by the cool gymnastics. I don't do gymnastics, but I was like, this is awesome. Easy, put cool videos on Instagram. But I would do that during my nannying job. So in my mind, I'm like, double the money in half the time, doing my job while on another job. And honestly, a lot of it was also, I wouldn't say lying, but I would say, telling my employer, like, yes, absolutely, this is, a very much conceivable time frame for me to get this done in. And I was being honest. I thought it was, but, not really counting the other jobs that I had to do. So it was a lot of juggling. I was not great at any of those jobs I had. Like I did my best, but for me, it was all, again, that pure, like survival drive to just do it and do what needed to be done. So yes, it was in the indestructible phase, to avoid traffic, because my nannying job was in Santa Monica and I lived, in Hollywood. I would get up at 4 a.m., drive to the woman's house, park, sleep for an hour and a half in my car, so that I could get to her on time while, getting as much sleep as possible. And even with that, she was still mad when I was like a minute or 2 minutes late. So now I'm paying for the toll that all of it took on my body, thinking about like lugging groceries up a hill, parking at the bottom of their house, then having to walk all the way up to, a house in the Palisades, just doing that for hours on end. Yeah. So now I dearly pay for what at the time I just, took for granted in a way. But also, yeah, I feel like my brain didn't know any other way to do it.
This episode is brought to you by Factor.
Cold days, big goals, absolutely zero interest in cooking? Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs.
No planning, no grocery math, no what did I buy this ingredient for?
I love that Factor has quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats.
And there's so much variety. Over 100 rotating meals every week, including the new Muscle Pro meals, if you're doing strength stuff.
And they support your diet, whether it's high protein meals, Mediterranean, whole ingredients, healthy fats, or more. Plus, there are no refined sugars or artificial sweeteners.
I've looked for something like this for a long time, and Factor really is the best.
It's good food that tastes great and is ready in about 2 minutes, always fresh, never frozen, no prep, and no stress. Head to factormeals.com/pastdue50off. That's 50 off. And use code PASSDUE50OFF to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year.
Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan, 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active.
Eczema is unpredictable, but you can flare less with Ebglyss, a once-monthly treatment for moderate to severe eczema. After an initial 4-month or longer dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
It's interesting to hear you talk about the juggling you did when you first moved here. I also moved here from Chicago. And it seems like you're still doing a fair amount of juggling now. You have like we said, writing, acting, performing, content creation. Do you prefer to do a bunch of things? Like creatively, is that most fulfilling for you? Or is there like one of these things where if it was completely paying for your life, you wouldn't be doing the rest?
That's a great question. Now I do love all the things that I do. It's, very slowly, each of my revenue streams became something that was extremely creatively fulfilling. That doesn't mean that I get to treat them all equally.
Right.
That's what I feel like now. At this point, I'm working on a video. Will be coming out very soon. But it's been a hot minute because I do love everything that I do. In a way, I now get to follow what is paying me, and I love all the things that contribute to my income now. So I was paid to write a series for Nebula, and it was great. It was wonderful getting paid to write in a writer's room, getting paid to be in a show was phenomenal. But yeah, that means that I don't get a video done.
Right.
And it takes a while to, rev that engine back up after we wrapped. I do love, wearing multiple hats. I love, after doing something so creative, it is fun to do something a little more analytical. It gives my brain like some buffer time. Because also I do think it just makes my creative work stronger and better. I think all the work that I've done on YouTube has absolutely informed me as a writer and a performer and vice versa.
I'm really interested in like the toll that work takes, right? Like talking about the toll that work took on your body more than you realized in your 20s. And now talking about juggling what you have. Do you think you've perfected, or even not perfected, but like internalized the lesson of like giving yourself that buffer space? Because again, as an old person now, I will tell you that in my 30s, I still worked too much. Like I still did more than was now what I realize, like completely healthy. Right. So you said you're in therapy for it. So maybe this is like you've let go of the anxiety of having to work all the time. So maybe you're great at this. I still had to put like shower on my to-do list and like rest on my list of things to do. But like, do you think about that and about whether or not you're still treating yourself as indestructible at this time of having all these different income streams and a lot of success and a lot of opportunities?
Yes, it is very much constantly on my mind. And you are right. Yes, that again, still a lot of my therapy revolves around that. I will say like about a year ago, my back, I was having so much back pain that it was completely debilitating. I could not write. My shoulders hurt so bad. And I would have random flare-ups. Like to me, there was no correlation of like when, where, or how, or why. I would have a back spasm, and I'm with Kaiser Permanente for anyone other insurance. So I spent basically it knocked me on my ass to the point where I physically couldn't work, which felt extremely uncomfortable for me. So yeah, a lot of my therapy was about this illusion of productivity and what that even means. We give meaning to productivity, but in the grand scheme of things, that is something we have invented to, make ourselves feel this forward progression of motion. When in reality, like me lying down and nursing my back is also productive. Like if we need that word, like absolutely, your body hurts. Like you need to lie down. Which sounds very funny in retrospect, but again, because I had laid a little bit of foundation in therapy of like deconstructing this idea of fight or flight, in a financial or just working sense, and to have to reconcile with how much that mindset hurt my current body, and how I don't want to do that to my future self. Like I don't want to hurt my, I don't want to take for granted my rest now. So once again, down the line, realize that I was hurting myself the whole time. So
do you feel like it is this anxiety about fight or flight or scarcity that might be pushing you? Because I know that that's true for me, right? Is that I have to be working. I have to be working. I have to be working. Like if I'm not working, then I worry about that future self, right? Like the anxiety about, am I going to have enough in the future? I have enough now, but am I going to have enough in the future? Like you said, you don't worry about, you're in a position to not worry about covering your expenses very much lately, which is amazing. Congratulations. But how much do you trust yourself and how much do you trust where you are? Is that something you work on?
It's like my therapist is speaking through your lips. The trusting yourself is, yes, currently working on that aspect of it. But that was a huge part of the transition and my mindset of now being comfortable, or now being okay, Because with working so hard, that is the thing. It's like, I don't trust the future. I don't trust any of these 5 jobs I have either. They're all tech companies. Like every single one of them could go under tomorrow. Even YouTube, extremely unstable. So all of it you could not count on. And so therefore I was putting all of that anxiety and stress onto myself because it's the thing that we believe that we can control. At least I can work myself to the bone, even if, Instacart takes away my tips. You become the thing that you rely on. And in therapy, breaking that apart was very difficult because, again, that was the one thing that felt secure. It was like, well, I can treat my body badly in the present because it's the one thing I have control over. It's the only way I know how to do this. As I get older, the anxiety very much has lessened. But I want to say correlated with that is that I have more help now than I ever did when I was juggling 5 jobs at once, getting married, an example of, now I have a life partner, and especially with stress and stuff, we very much help each other with that. But I mean, even getting a literary manager, like instead of writing in the ether, I now have someone to hand the product to, which, that's a very difficult pill to swallow because I think when you're younger, speaking for myself, when I was younger, telling yourself, oh, once I get that manager, like that will be when I feel okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's the game changer. And a lot of times it's not like the work continue, it's not necessarily game changer, but as far as like my mental load and mental capacity, I felt, in retrospect, I felt so lonely when I was doing all of that work by myself. And I think also, kind of that's what's pushed me to YouTube because it's, yeah, sure. I guess, you film it alone. So that part is still lonely, but it is at least in a community space. So like, to me, that was, the only job I had that was, that increased my connection to other people, where everything else was like, here's your groceries. Don't talk to me. Here's your child. Don't text me on after hours, like running away from the responsibility and the burden. So yeah, the older I get and the more, success and things that I have in different areas, the more help comes along with it, which is something that I wish, I don't think younger Maggie didn't know this, but I think, that's something to consider how important community is. And again, with 5 jobs, there was so much less time to
engage in community. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, and to no one's fault. Like I needed to pay rent, therefore I needed these jobs, therefore I didn't have time to invest in a community that would help heal a part of me that was working too hard, that didn't have a very much fraught endeavor. But if anything is in your control, maybe instead of like putting it on your body, like hopefully there, at least now in current Maggie timeline, community and help with, especially with other creatives, even just like commiserating, not feeling alone. Oh my God, does so much for my mental health and does a lot to dismantle that thing. Like I got to keep doing this, otherwise it will all go away. Having a friend, being like, yeah, I feel that too, but look at us. We're getting coffee, talking about our cat. Like,
it's interesting how often that has come up in our conversations, that part of the keys to dealing with all of the challenges we deal with, like one of the answers that comes up consistently is community. And we often like to talk here too about the relationship between these challenges of our financial realities with mental health. So I'm really interested in your therapy. You talk about having identified this anxiety that was present around financial instability.
Mhm.
And now that you've been like working on that for a while, like identifying it and hopefully succeeding in lessening it, I often find with anxiety, it's like it occupies so much of our minds that when we're able to lessen it, we could just find all this other stuff that's in us. And I wonder, I'm curious if there's anything you can share about what you found after dealing with some of that anxiety, especially as it pertains to your creativity, because so much of your life is being creative.
Absolutely. I will say the immediate aftermath is me sending emails, correspondence, talking to other people became so much easier. So much easier. The I think yes, again, like all this like inward anxiety and like the things we can control. Yes, once I was lessening it in even just like tiny areas here and there, I realized how much of the anxiety was like, okay, this email needs to be the best email that's ever written because I only have one shot. It was all these, things I had, learned through like it's do or die. Like this, that anxiety of, it will go away if I don't somehow feel control over this thing that I'm doing. Like I don't. They're lovely. They're perfect. They're wonderful. They're going to email back with the perfect response ever created. But I'm the problem. I need to make the email perfect first. Anyway, so yeah. So once I started working on this in therapy, it was almost like the next week I sent an email to someone I wanted to interview for a YouTube video. And I couldn't believe how much less stressful. I literally didn't think about it until afterwards. Like, oh my God, like a couple weeks ago, I would have not been able to do this. I would have been so wrapped up in my own past fear. It felt so familiar to me that, breaking it down immediately allowed me to have so much easier time reaching out to people, which again, I very much, connect back to that idea of community and how when we are working ourselves to the bone, when our bodies are literally giving out at the end of the day, you do not have mental space to send an email. Like you don't have space to reach out to the friend you miss, or I didn't. I'm sure there's wonderful people out there who are like,
And
no
it's a
matter what,
cycle, right? I mean, so it's hard to
yes.
make it stop because if you're anxious and you can't reach out, then your anxiety increases. Except if you're not as anxious, you can reach out so you can decrease your anxiety. So, like, it's just at what point are you able to interrupt that cycle? Because I know for me around anxiety, what I thought Mike was going to say, and I'm really glad he didn't say this part because what he had to say was more leans towards the optimism of being able to do something about anxiety. I've often said, like, I think my anxiety is like a balloon, and it just, if I squish one side of it, like it gets bigger on another side. Like if I decrease my anxiety about one thing, then my anxiety about another thing can increase. And my goal is to just have that balloon get smaller, right? I don't know if I'm ever going to completely get rid of my anxiety at all, but just to have the lumps be like a little smaller. But the other thing I wanted to ask about that anxiety piece is you've kind of alluded to this about your work getting better when you have less anxiety around it. So I think something that's come up for us on the show and something I think about a lot is how much hustling can degrade my work. Like if I am hustling, then I'm not able to put as much of myself into my work. I'm too anxious about people liking it and getting paid for it. But then again, like, how do you get paid for work if you're not hustling? So have you given a lot of thought to that? Like where are you in your ability to like not hustle and be able to focus on the work itself? Or does hustling
Yes.
help you work? Some people, you know what? I should say, I'm speaking for myself. Like there are some people who are like, I need the hustle. I need the deadlines. I need the pressure. I used to think I was that way. This is a part of my age, like speaking here. It's like I used to think that the hustle was helpful, and now I'm not so sure.
Yes. This is, once again, very timely, very apt. I have been undiagnosed ADHD for, the most majority of my life. Maybe not so coincidentally, but very coincidentally, around the time I became financially stable is the time that I finally was diagnosed with ADHD. So when I was younger, and I've been going all the way back to like high school, that is what I used to self-motivate. So with ADHD, that is one of the huge roadblocks is self-motivation. It is literally non-existent. When I was about 16, I was diagnosed with depression, which was probably simply my undiagnosed ADHD. And that medication helped a little bit. That was like the first time that I didn't feel the need to, use hustle as an external motivator to do anything. I feel like it's very funny, and especially for ADHD, because self-motivation is such a huge problem. You often see students who, are either very detached from school, just like I can't motivate, so how am I going to do this? And there's also the other response, both extremely valid, where it's like, I cannot self-motivate, therefore I will use every single one of these things to be the motivation, which is also not healthy and not absolutely not beneficial.
Oh, I mean, I was gold star, straight A, all the activities, all of the things that I could pile onto my plate because doing too much felt more comfortable than having any time to myself. And so and that's one of the things I'm kind of alluding to is that at 50, that shit stopped working for me. Like it just broke me. And I have had to relearn a lot of skills. So I'm really just asking selfishly. I think I'm not going to speak for Mike, but I feel like a lot of the interviews we're doing, we're just like, come on, tell me how. Tell me
how.
Tell me how.
It's a huge shift. Well, I think it started to kind of break for me around college. That's when I started. I went to an acting university. It was like very. I knew before that, but it started to become very real in a very tangible way that if you give your motivation externally, or if you were relying on other people to be that motivator, for me, it just it didn't fit with acting because I can't give that to someone else. There's no one to give it to. Like it is just you and the mindset of, I'd audition for plays, and it would be like, 150 people, students and faculty. And I can't make them the external motivator. because it's not healthy. Like it's not, that ends up, your machine will fundamentally break down. Because it is not your job to make them cast you. You know, it's your job to bring material to life. It's your job to, you know, bring life into a character. You know, it's very, in a way, like very intimate. And I think that's what I love about it. It's again, it's one of the only times I feel extremely focused on something. It's, you know, imagining the circumstances being completely different. So it very quickly started to be like, this is not working. It's not healthy for me to create them as the external motivator. So then therefore, what do I do? What do I do? And I will say, I don't think that I really found the answer until I got diagnosed and I got the medication that my brain severely needed. Even through college for, you know, essays and stuff, I was still, I almost did like the pendulum swing. I still had okay grades, but I became the student that would stay up all night doing the essay the night before because that gave me the most motivation. It was like waiting till the last minute gave me the, you know, whatever, the dopamine hit that I needed to complete this essay, to finish this class. And that was extremely not healthy. You know, my body did not appreciate that, even though I could pull it off because I was young. So yes, it really was not until I was properly medicated that, one, it was a huge relief because, you know, the whole, up until that point, I was like, I still feel like something's off. Like I still feel something is wrong. Like I know this is unhealthy, but I cannot get my brain to do what I'm seeing my classmates doing. I cannot get it. The idea of self-motivation had been such a foreign concept to me that until I, you know, again, had the proper medication, was the first time
When
again
was that?
It was about probably 4 years ago at this point.
Oh, interesting coincidence as far as your financial stability goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and also to relate it back to that, that was when I recognized that so much of this, like, go, this fight or flight, or whatever it was directly correlated to my undiagnosed ADHD. Again, it was go, because that is what I had used up until this point to do anything, to finish school, to graduate, to get enough money to, you know, pay rent. That is what I relied on. And yeah, it's not, you know, it's the tools I had at the time, but I became, you know, when I finally got what my brain needed, I was like, oh my God. Like I put myself through a lot because for a lot of reasons, but part of it being I didn't have the brain space to feel like another way was even possible. And so, yeah, connecting that back to like school, I knew that external motivation, you know, especially in the creative field, is extremely fraught. Even more so in Hollywood, where, yeah, now it's like legit casting directors that you have to not care. You have to just not care about like the outcome. And so, yeah, all of that together was kind of like this pushed journey into being like, okay, but what actually is motivating? And yeah, that to me is storytelling. You know, it is getting to disappear into a story, into completely different circumstances. There's like wonderful all-consuming thing that happens when you're writing or acting, where, yeah, it feels almost like out of body, whatever, you know, you're creating a completely different place for people to go and explore. And so, yeah, that became my biggest motivation, is that part of the creativity that is so fun and fulfilling. And And then, it's so much easier to balance life and work when, you have given your brain the juice to, be able to feel that there's a separation,
Get in the game with the college-branded Venmo debit card. Wrap your team with every tap and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash, a new rewards program from Venmo. No monthly fee, no minimum balance, just school pride and spending power. Get in the game and sign up for the Venmo debit card at venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
My day kicks off with a refreshing Celsius energy drink, then straight to the gym. Pre-K pickup, back home to meal prep. Time for my fire station shift. One more Celsius, gotta keep the lights on. When the 3-alarm hits, I'm ready. Celsius. Live, fit, go. Grab a cold, refreshing Celsius at your local retailer or locate now at Celsius.com.
If this episode struck a nerve, you'll definitely want to hear what we couldn't fit into the main feed. Every episode, we save the most surprising, unfiltered stories for our Patreon. Moments too weird, wild, or real for the main feed.
In this week's bonus segment, Maggie Mae Fish tells us what happened when she dared to criticize Zack Snyder on YouTube. The fan base had thoughts. She also shares the one video she was sure would bring backlash, only to get called kind by complete strangers. It's a peek behind the curtain into what creators really deal with when they put their work into the world.
Subscribe at patreon.com/pass2 to hear the full clip, get early access, bonus episodes, and a little solidarity in this chaotic creative economy.
Now, back to the show.
I got another tell me how. Not necessarily for me, but I know a lot of people with ADHD, and I feel like a good amount of them are very interested in content creation as a way to make a living, because a lot of them tend to have just a lot of ideas. There's like a lot of creative impulses, a lot of realities that they can see and imagine. But many of them have a hard time like finishing things and executing. So just, I think you're probably like an inspiration for a lot of people who might find themselves in that position. And I wonder what sort of insight you have on, given that YouTube is a completely open sandbox and you could choose anything to do. Like, how do you pick which idea to execute?
That is a great question. I would say, I think, and again, this is interesting. Okay, so if anyone is interested, I would say go back, kind of look at my videos in a row, because you might quickly find there is no rhyme or reason. There's no rhyme or reason. There are a couple series that I started back when I was still very not financially secure. So I was like, okay, I will have a refillable idea that I can plug ideas into. This was my trying to problem solve how to help make it, viable. And I'm not able to keep a series going, so it connected to, creativity and the creative outputs. Letting go of the idea of perfection, but I would even say letting go of the idea that one idea is better than the other. I think that is honestly too much pressure to put on yourself. I think getting a list of your ideas and picking the best idea, I think that's already too hard. I think that's too hard. I think pick the one that sounds the most fun. Using fun as your metric, I guess in lack of an external motivator, I would often rely on, okay, well, just which one is the funnest? Because I know that's the one I'm at least going to return to the most. And to me, that has been a wonderful guiding light, and that means, dropping a series if something else is more fun. Even sure, it would make more sense for you to continue that series. But no, this other thing is more fun. So I will do that. Those other ideas will still be there. So I think it reminds me of like writing the perfect email. Like, I think if you start, there are so many small things that I have gotten stuck on that I could foresee. Yeah, it seemed like a huge decision. And in a way is a huge decision. But I think those are the kind of things that slowly you have to, or I had to give up. In order for the benefit of, creativity. There's a lot of, there's a lot of things to give up, but I would say as much as you can, give up the hard stuff that impedes your work. Self-inflicted. Mm-hmm.
What I hear you saying that I think is a really helpful takeaway is don't punish yourself for not following through on something, and that it's okay to let go of stuff that's not working. And
absolutely.
Because I can also get, I have not been diagnosed with ADHD, but I've been kind of treating myself as though I might have it, in part because I'm perimenopausal. And apparently the hormone stew of perimenopause can resemble what they call like pregnancy brain, which is like an ADHD kind of state. And I also have all these hacks of like, I'm going to invent a series, or I'm going to invent like a really specific newsletter, a really like hyper-focused newsletter, so that if I do it, like I know what I need to write. And I have like what feels like 1,000 things that I started and didn't finish, and I can really beat myself up over those. But what I hear you saying is a reminder to like, it's just leave it. Just like, let's leave it behind. Anil Dash, who's a technology guy who also does a lot of writing, has a presentation. He's also like the world's #1 Prince fan, which is a huge competition. So he's really, trust me, like up there. And he does a presentation about how many projects Prince didn't finish. Like, and also like other tech people who have like all these like half-finished things. And it's just a really wonderful reminder of like, we only see the stuff, when someone becomes very successful, we only see the things that they finished, right? Like we don't see their great unfinished projects. So think about like all the different false starts is just not false starts, but just starts.
Absolutely. The other thing, and the start, I was just going to say, like, to underline that, the starting is the important thing. The doing is the important thing. The doing of it is much more important than,
And you were still doing, like I've come across the metaphor that I've decided I like for now is you're always on a road trip, even if you wind up turning around at some point. Like if you get lost, like that didn't mean you stopped being on the road trip. It just means you got lost for a little bit, or like you took a detour, or you decided to visit some place that you didn't stay. But that doesn't mean like you stopped the trip and then the next thing you do counts as a new one. So it's all just part of like getting someplace.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, you read a bunch of new road signs that you didn't even know you would come across. I do also just want to add that also a big part of, helping deconstruct these thoughts and ideas is disability advocacy. I feel like I'm a newbie baby to it. I simply just ingest what other smart people have to say from, their own experiences. But, there's a huge insight into, having these things that are out of our control, things that are, that are just realities of our body that, a lot of us get to take for granted. And listening to people talk about their own experiences, people talking about their disabilities, has been such a balm for the soul and mind and anxiety. Because there's a lot of things that we beat ourselves up for that is completely unnecessary and frankly, just imposed in a late stage capitalist society that doesn't actually make sense for human beings. And so, listening to others at any point is, a great way to help unlock that. But
it's been really awesome to have you. I think it's been really interesting. And like I said earlier, I think legitimately inspirational to hear you talk about anxiety and even how getting diagnosed and medicated has opened things up for you. So I just want to say thank you for being here, and we appreciate you being open about that stuff.
My huge, enormous pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
As we draw to a close, as we, our very hustle-centric podcast, one of the most important segments we do here is to give our guests the space to plug away. Let everybody know what you got going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have some pretty fun video essays over on my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Maggie Mae Fish. Yeah, you can find my work over in there. You can find me, again, just my name, Maggie Mae Fish on Blue Sky and Instagram. And I do have a show coming out on Nebula sometime towards the end of June. And it's a kid's show for adults. So adult topics, mental health, job issues. The first episode is about the main character juggling 2 jobs at once for double the money and half the time. So
autobiographical?
A little bit, with some puppets, if you're into this, I feel like, you might be into that. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate your openness and vulnerability and your fearlessness in both talking to us about all these things and in the work you do.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Anna, you know where we are. You know what this is. This is the most important part of our show. Let people know how they can support your creative endeavors.
I always feel like I have 5 things going at once, but then I kind of blank on all of them when we do this.
Same here.
So I have my workshops. Just wrapped up a workshop on sustaining a creative life. It's called Slow Burn. I will be doing a writing workshop in the fall called Third Story Workshop, which is about memoir writing. I am a contributing editor at the New Republic, and you can find my work there all the time. And then if you're a podcast listener, you will love my other podcast, which is called Space the Nation. And it's about science fiction and politics, which I need to come up with a new way of saying it because I always feel like I immediately turn off like half the world. Maybe I should just say it's a science fiction podcast. I'm just going to start saying it's a science fiction podcast. That's what I'm going to do.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
Ooh, turns out today, speaking of doing 5 things, I have announced a new project. A new album is coming out on July 11th, and today I have released a new single. The album is called Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. It's coming out July 11th, and the single's out now. It's called Contraband. And guess what we're going to do, Anna? Guess what we're going to do?
Well, this was my idea that we use it to play out the show for a little while. Like give people a taste.
Stay tuned. Just a second. We'll go ahead and preview that audio for you. And if you dig it, go ahead over to my Bandcamp and pre-order the album.
And we also want to hear from you. Have you ever hit a point where your body or your brain just couldn't hustle anymore? And Mike, I actually feel silly asking this question of our audience.
I think it's an important question, though.
I want to hear from you. Have you never hit that point? Let's see.
Interesting.
Let's also if you do have no idea what we're talking about, there we go. Like, you tell us your secrets.
And then tell us why you like this. If you've never gone through any of this, what brings you here? Do you like our pain? Is that it?
They're sadists. They're just downright sadists. And you can tell us this on all of our socials. We're at Past Due Podcast. Basically wherever you get your doom, we're there at Past Due Podcast.
Past Due is hosted by Anna Marie Cox and Open Mike Eagle. It's produced by Andrew Steven. You can find more at pastduepodcast.com. Help support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/pastdue. You'll get bonus content, extended interviews, and more.
Yeah, I know. Apologies, that's indiscreet. Here's the code. I know God, that's my homegirl up the street. What you need? Show my hand. I understand what I should keep. It's contraband, yeah. Contraband. Got that good shit, yeah, I know. Apologies, that's indiscreet. Here's the code. I know God, that's my homegirl up the street. What you need? Show my hand. I understand what I should keep. It's contraband, yeah. It's contraband. When y'all saying ain't no fist fight, what I look like, he's a dream. Vis-a-vis those that I stood by, I had a good cry, pleased to me. I seen God though, up the block though. First grade teacher, Mrs. Gabo, showed me things that I do not know. On the bus outside Chicago, spell tradition,
Sometimes it feels like red and blue states are just as divergent as post-World War II East and West Germany. So what can the US learn from German political history in order to create a more perfect union? Find out on the new season of The Future of Our Former Democracy, the Signal Award-winning podcast for more equitable democracy and large media. Hosted by me, Colin Cole, and Heather Villanueva. It's time to rethink democracy. So follow The Future of Our Former Democracy wherever you get your podcasts.
Not all darkness is dangerous. Sometimes it's the doorway to becoming whole. On the brand new podcast, The Shadow Sessions, hosted by me, Hibab Al-Faqih, a psychologist and trauma expert, we shed light on the hidden corners of the human experience. Through raw, unfiltered conversations from the edge of healing, The Shadow Sessions invites you to do the deeper work that leads to real change. Follow The Shadow Sessions wherever you're listening now.